Today we're going to put everything that we've learned together so far about the exponent rules, and I'm on page 58, and we're going to go over the exponent rules, and we're going to do a graphic organizer today. So if you'll go ahead and write that down and then flip on over to that page for me. Okay, you have this paper, and what I did was I just trimmed the box out perfectly. So before we paste it in, we're just going to go over this. So when you're adding and subtracting monomials, remember you do not change common variables and exponents. You are only going to add or subtract coefficients. Okay, so for number 1, I have 9x squared minus 10x squared y. Since these are the exact same thing, we're just going to look at the whole numbers, and we're going to do 9 minus 10, which gives me negative 1, and I keep x squared y. You cannot change your letters when you're adding or subtracting. For example 2, subtract 6w from 8w. Remember when it says from, you're actually doing 8w minus 6w, and 8w minus 6w gives you 2w. Okay, when we're doing the product rule, this is the rule you'll see on the formula chart when you're taking the STAR test. You have x to the a times x to the b, which means we're going to do x to the a plus b. So my cheat that I'm going to write for you right here is multiply coefficients, add exponents. Okay, so here we go. Number 1. I do not have any coefficients to multiply, so all I'm going to do is add my exponents, which gives me 8. 2 plus 6 is 8. For number 2, I'm going to multiply negative 2 times 7, which is negative 14. And then a squared and a to the third, 2 plus 3 makes a to the fifth. B and b, 1 plus 1 makes 2. Moving into our power rule, we have x to the a to the b. When you do the power rule, that's telling you to do x times b. Okay, so this one you take coefficient to power and you multiply exponents. Okay, so here's my 2 examples. I have x squared to the third. I have no coefficients to worry about, so all I got to do is multiply my exponents, which gives me x to the sixth. Okay, number 2 is a 2-step problem, so the first thing I'm going to do is take care of this power rule, and negative 2 squared is a positive 4. I need you to remember here to always, always, always put negative numbers in parentheses in the calculator, and then we multiply, and I get m to the 10th, and I bring down times m to the third. So now this is turned into a multiplication problem. So I go back up to the power rule, the product rule, I'm sorry, and we're going to multiply coefficients, which 4 times 1 is 4, and I'm going to add exponents, so 10 plus 3 is 13. Okay, for your quotient rule, we have x to the a divided by x to the b, which gives you x to the a minus b. So make sure you divide coefficients and subtract exponents. Excuse me. Okay, 27 divided by 42, that does not go in evenly. So all you're going to do is simplify it. And when you simplify 27 over 42, you get 9/14. Okay, now I subtract my exponents. So I'm going to do 5 minus 1, which gives me x to the fourth. Okay, for example 2, I have y squared squared divided by y to the fourth. Well, the first thing that you're going to have to do is take care of that power rule. Since there's no coefficient, we're just multiplying. So I get y to the fourth divided by y to the fourth. Okay, when you do 4 minus 4, you get y to the 0. Well, if you get 0, that pretty much cancels. And so y to the 0 just means 1. Because anything divided by itself is 1. So if you needed to see it when you put in your calculator, I'm going to just say y is 4, and we're going to do 4 to the 0. You get 1. You do 5 to the 0. You get 1. So if the letters cancel, your answer is just 1. Your negative exponent rule, this is the rule we worked with last week, If you have x to the negative a, this is where you pretty much just take the reciprocal and you make x to the a. So do last. You got to fix your negatives last. So follow all the previous rules. So I have negative 5, x to the negative 2. Since this is a monomial, I have no operation I need to do. So I'm going to open up my fraction. I'm going to put negative 5 on the top. And the x squared, to make it positive, has to go to the bottom. For number 2, I need to simplify because this is a division problem. And I'm going to do 4 divided, 4 divided by 8, which gives me 1/2. And then dividing means I subtract my exponent. So 2 minus 5 gives me negative 3. That can't be my final answer because I have a negative exponent. So I keep 1/2. And to get k to the third to become positive, I move it to the bottom. And that's my final answer. Now, this is the last rule, and I told you that we would go over it, and the reason we don't have a separate lesson for it is because the zero exponent rule, anything to the 0 power is 1. I don't care what you put to the 0 power, that is 1. So, this can trick you if you're not careful, because if I have 7x to the 0, this piece is the only piece to the 0. That 0 does not go on 7. So you keep 7 and x to the 0 becomes 1. So now you have 7 times 1, which is 7. For number 2, I have w to the 4th squared over w to the 8th. First thing I'm going to do is take care of the power rule. I don't have coefficients, so I'm just going to multiply, and I get w to the 8th over w to the 8th. And this is very similar to like how we did on example 2 right here. 8 minus 8 gives me 0, and anything to the 0 power is just 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, because I have one more thing I want to show you, is I'm going to glue my graphic organizer in right here. But I'm going to give myself enough room, so I'm going to kind of do it on the edge. So I'll show you. Okay, so I'm going to put this right here on the edge. And then I'm going to come over here because this may help you. And this is only true for the exponents. This does not work for the coefficients. Okay, when we are first introduced to math, we don't know how to do anything, so we do nothing. When we go into first grade, kindergarten, first grade, we start learning how to do basic addition and basic subtraction. And then once we move up to 3rd and 4th grade, we start learning how to do multiplication and some division. And then as you get older and get into the middle school and high school, we start doing exponents, so like x squared. So this is just kind of like a cheat sheet for you. If you have a problem and you're having to do the power rule, so we're working with powers, on your exponents, you do whatever is directly above it, so you would do multiplication for your exponents. Okay? If we were doing a multiplication problem for my exponents, I would do what's directly above it, and I would add. If I was doing a division problem, I would do what's directly above it, and I would subtract. And if I was doing addition or subtraction, I would do what's directly above it and do nothing to the exponents. So that's just a guide to help you with your exponents. If you have any questions, let me know. You're doing a review sheet today.